Team, welcome. My name is Coach Paul and today I'm going to be taking you through the stretch session. So stretching, what is it and why is it important? So at the end of every class we always talk about stretching, but for some reason we never quite do it to the full extent that we should. So today, this little session is going to break down to two sections. We're going to start off with a dynamic warm-up. So give you an idea of what you could do before you come to the studio or potentially in the foyer itself. We'll have a little breather, and then the second half of it is going to be our actual stretching, our static stretching. That's going to help us recover and rejuvenate ourselves ready for our next session. So what is dynamic stretching? Stretching is movement through the body to loosen up our joints and our muscles, preparing ourselves to train and to move through our ranges. So this little flow is going to last roughly about 10 minutes altogether. Nice and smooth. You can go as slow as you want, as quick as you want through these exercises. If you start to learn them yourself, potentially you can make your own little warm-up from this. So what you'll need today for the second half is a pillow to lean your knees on or your head. And of course, some water at all times as we go through. So if you can find yourself a bit of space, set our feet roughly shoulder width. We're going to start with this first part, our dynamic warm-up, prepping and preparing our body ready to train or exercise. So as we find our nice loose sides, relax our shoulders as we start to breathe out, let the head tilt across the body, ear to shoulder, in-breath head resets, exhale across the other side. This nice motion here is going to start to stretch on the outside of our necks and start to loosen our traps. Nice, consistent with our breaths. As we reach ourselves back into the middle, we're going to exhale, let the chin push down to the chest. In breath, the head's going to reset. We're going to exhale and push up. Inhale to reset, just taking your time from one to the other. Again, this time we're stretching across the back of the neck, top of the shoulders, the front of the neck, the top of the chest. So here we're going to work into our shoulder. Our shoulder girdle attaches all around the muscle itself. So we're going through this nice circular motion. So as I breathe out, I'm going to push my left arm forwards. As the hand gets to the top, rotate the palm to face out and continue the circle behind the body. This rotation is going to start to work through our chest, our traps, our rhomboids, our trapeze, all the muscles that attach onto the shoulder. We're going to start to loosen and release. We can go slow or we can go fast, depending on how it feels for you, how comfortable it feels. Got two more times this side, and we're going to swap. Again, nice breaths out. So what you might find, those first couple repetitions are a bit slower. There's a lot of clicks, cracks and crunches coming out of the shoulder and the shoulder joints. That's not a problem at all. It's just that air releasing from the muscle. As we go through 4 or 5 rotations, those clicks and cracks become less and less and start to loosen off. 2 more times, team. Fantastic. So I'm going to work into our thoracic rotation. So let's talk about our spine. It splits into different sections where we're going to work this top third of our spine. So we're going to lock our legs, our hips and belly button in place, placing the hands in the ribs or the top of the head. As we take a nice breath out, we're rotating that upper third of our spine from left to right. So my head, my neck, my chest, my shoulders are rotating. Belly button and hips are nice and still. So this thoracic rotation is key to learn and perfect, because all our rotation should start here through the shoulders and the chest and not through the lower back. So we can become more efficient in our exercises and in our rotation in our classes. Beautiful. 2 more times. So from here, we're going to work into our full spinal twist. We're going to relax the arms, drive the hands around the body, releasing the hips, the knees, the ankles, If we can, the hand's going to rest on the side of the hips before we twist the opposite way. Again, there might be a few clicks, a few cracks along the way, but take nice breaths consistently as we rotate round 3 more times. Fantastic, team. So we've warmed up that upper part of our body. Looks like we're down in our hips, our hamstrings and our ankles. So we're going to set our feet shoulder width. I'm going to come to the side angle for you. As I start to breathe out, the hips push back into the heels, the legs stay nice and straight. We allow the body to fold as we breathe out. As we breathe in, we slide back up to the top. Roll the shoulder blades back and down to help set our posture. And again, when you're ready, breathing out and breathing in. Remember to roll the shoulders at the top. This folding motion starts to warm up our calves, our hamstrings, our glutes, our lower back. And the roll of the shoulders starts to help lift our thoracic, our chest, and sit our shoulder blades back together. Always remember our muscles like blue tack, so the more we use it, the more range we find, the more we can stretch that blue tack further, the more we can stretch our muscles further. And this is going to result in less injuries and less strain. 2 more times, team. Excellent, 1 more time. We're going to work our way into our hips. So setting those feet a little bit wider, just outside shoulder width. We're going to do that same folding motion, but now we're going to add in a squat and a stand. That squat and stand is going to start with our hips themselves and start to warm up our thighs. So the motion we've already done, have that fold through the hips, hands coming to the ground, this time push your knees out as they bend. Sit down into our squat. We're going to drive back to the top. The joy of this exercise, if you find your range, we can fold and sit high and stand. Or if you want to test our mobility and our range of motion, we can sit low and drive back out to the top. So that fold through the hips, sit through the bum, knees out, chest up, and driving back to the top. So 2 more times is what we're looking for. And taking your time to find your range and find your comfortable position. Excellent, team. So our last one is just going to be for our balance. And balance is always a key, so we need to stand on that one ankle. So again, I'm going to stand side on for you. We're going to release our right foot, hover it just in front of the body, steps halfway back onto the toes, arms drive overhead, step back into balance on that one foot, tap the toe, reach overhead, try and come back to balance. If you need to, tap the toe down before we step again. So we're going to have 3 more this side. So we're going to ankle stability. As we plant, we're opening up our hips. Again, we're working for our chest and our shoulders and our back. Coming back to balance, 1 more. And then when you're ready, focus on the other side. Find balance again on 1 foot. Step onto the toe. Arms go overhead. Coming back to balance. What you're going to find is one side is going to have better balance than the other side. So this is our last exercise on the flow. So we're going to get 3 more good repetitions in. One more time, team. Fantastic work. So quick sip of water. So if that dynamic one, we should have felt our heart rate rise as we got warmer and looser. Our joints, our knees, our ankles become more pliable and flexible at the same time. And that's the key of that dynamic warm-up, to get us prepped and ready so we can feel like we're going to go here to train comfortably going forwards. So after we trained, that static stretching becomes key and the most important part. So we always have those stretches at the end of the class, but sometimes it's just not long enough and doesn't last long enough. So this next little flow so you can do at home yourself, once you get back from your session, find yourself a nice comfy spot on the floor. We can go through these stretches together to really loosen the body, lengthen our muscles back out, take away those muscles and stores, potentially bring those DOMs down so we can recover quicker. If you're not sure what DOMs are, that's delayed onset of muscle soreness. This can come 24 to 36 hours after we trained. That achy feeling through our legs, through our shoulders, through our chest muscles. So good stretching on a regular basis can really help reduce that time and help us stay a bit more mobile and flexible throughout the day. So again, you need your pillow close by for any needed exercises. We're going to start from the top and work our way down. So we want to find ourselves our space in our mat, and we're going to start on our knees together. So I'm going to start on the pillow itself, just because my floor is quite hard. So again, this flow lasts roughly 10 minutes again. It's just to help us become a bit more mobile and loosen up. So we're going to start on a kneeling position, body nice and tall, head up, chest proud. So this time I'm going to do that same stretch we started with in our dynamic, loosen off in our neck and our shoulders. We're going to take our left hand over the top, fingertips resting on the side of the head. As the head tips towards the shoulder, just rest the hand and let the hand be the weight. So we're not trying to push down at any point. We're trying to breathe nice and slowly and just let the hand be a weight, creating that stretch across our neck and our traps. So as much as this is great for our post-training, after our treadmill work, after our rowers, after our weight floor, also good for long days at work. You spend lots of time typing or driving, it really helps release our neck muscles and our traps and have everything relaxed down. So we're going to swap sides when you're ready. So 20 to 30 seconds in the hold would be the minimum we look for. Potentially progressing these stretches on to a minute to 2 minutes. The longer we can hold these stretches, the more benefit we'll get, the more time the body has to relax and adapt as muscles to truly lengthen back out. As we release that head, we're going to come into our triceps and our shoulders and our back muscles. We're going to take our left hand overhead, placing the fingertips in between the shoulder blades. We're going to take our right hand behind. We're trying to link our fingertips together and pull nice and tight. If your hands end up here, not quite touching, just take the bottom hand over the top, press down on the elbow. We can create that stretch, so stretching our triceps, our lats. Once you've held for maybe 10 seconds, release the hand again, take it back around, push the fingertips towards each other, see if we can touch. Again, if you're still not touching, back over the top, press down again, and hold for over 10 seconds or so. So this is called progressive stretching. So taking the body to tension, so where it all starts to feel a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit of discomfort, holding for 4 to 5 breaths, then releasing to then try to progress the stretch. So we're going to swap sides and the same again. So okay, great exercise for helping our scapulars, so our shoulder blades sit back together, releasing our triceps and our lats, and also help open up our chest muscles at the same time. Those nice big breaths in and out at all times as we relax into these stretches. And stretching is so personal. It really is about finding your tempo, your range, and where you find your discomfort. So one more time in this stretch. Excellent. We're going to work into our chest now. I'm going to come to that side angle for you. Palms going to place into the base of our back. Lift the chest up first. As I start to breathe out, try and pull the elbows together. We're trying to get those elbows to try and get as close together to almost touch if possible. As we stretch through our chest muscles. So feeling right here at the top of our chest, bottom of our shoulder. So this is what we call our insertion. This is where the muscles attach into the shoulders. That's where we get that stretch in our chest. Fantastic, team. So we're going to work down now into our spine. So I'm going to press the pillow to one side. We're going to come into our up cat, down cats. Also, I like to call them smiley faces, sad faces. So we're going to stack our wrist underneath our shoulders, our knee underneath the hips, toes planted into the ground. As I start to breathe out, my chin tucks into my chest. The pelvis tucks under, the shoulder blades pull apart. I round the spine, making that sad face. As I take the breath in, the bum pushes out. Shoulder blades tucked together, head lifts. We make our smiley face with our spine. And just taking your time with your breaths, exhale to the top. Inhale to the bottom. And we're just going to go for 5 or 6 repetitions. Again, 30 seconds to a minute. Just loosening off our spine, start to stretch through our back and shoulders. Really helping our hips and our pelvis tip under and back out. Great for learning our half hip hinges and our deadlifts. That pelvic tilt is what we're always after when we go for a deadlift or a hip hinge. Beautiful, one more time. Fantastic, team. So this next one we're going to work our way through is with our ankles, our knees and our hips. We're going to start in that same all four position, but potentially we're going to put a lot of weight through one knee. So you may want to put your pillow underneath your right knee. Hands really set. My left foot is going to step through, trying to place the foot on the outside of the hand. Release the left hand and we're going to push the knee as far over the toes as we can. Let my chest, my hips, my glutes all push forwards. So creating that stretch in our hips. So just down here in the hip itself, our glutes also is starting to work for our ankles themselves. So the more we can push that knee forwards, the deeper the stretch we can create. And again, we're just going to hold for 30 seconds, breathing out the whole time, and all the weight press forwards, relaxing our back leg. So for the next 30 seconds, we can actually have progression if you want to. So we're going to take our spare elbow, our left elbow, and try and push the elbow down into the ground. You may find you don't get very far, that's absolutely fine if you don't. But if your elbow does touch, we can release the right at the same time and push both elbows into the ground. If not, just bend. We can put a little more weight through our hips as we stretch. These next 15 seconds, remember to keep breathing the whole time and taking your time through the stretch. Finding your discomfort, finding that little, what we call the sweet spot, where it's a little bit uncomfortable, it's feeling the stretch, but it's not painful. And as we step our way out of the stretch, take a second just to breathe, just to loosen ourselves off. We're going to do that same stretch on the other leg. So if you have used the pillow, we're going to swap it over. Set those knees again, hip width. Set the hands underneath the shoulders as it's that all four position. So this time it's that right foot stepping down to the hand. Focus on the knee pressing forwards, using the hand to help add the weight. My other arm support. Relaxing the back leg as you breathe out. Excellent. Again, if you do feel a bit uncomfortable being on one knee and one hand, you may have a table or a chair next to you, and you can rest your hand on that chair or table. Give yourself that support as you keep sinking into that stretch. Again, the knee can travel as far over the toes as we can. That's going to help our ankle mobility, our ankle flexibility. And this next 30 seconds, we're going to add that progression. So the inside elbow, so the right one pushing down as far as we can, or bending both elbows at the same time. Just seeing where we can sink to create that deeper stretch through the body. So we're going to hold for 10 more seconds. Stay in that little bit of discomfort, but it should start to ease as the breaths go through. So potentially start at maybe 7 out of 10 of discomfort, and you're going to come down to a 5 by the end of the stretch. With a static stretch, we take our time. We have as many breaks and breaths as we want. So I'm just going to grab some water. We're going to head down into our hamstrings, glutes, and lower back for our next stretch. So as we move into those hamstrings, we're going to take a seat. Let me make sure I'm still on the camera. The problem being tall and at home at the same time. Never quite fit on any of the videos. So as we take a seat, nice straight legs, we're going to focus on one leg at a time. So work from our hamstrings, the back of our legs. So I'm going to take my left foot inside the right, my knee relaxing down to the ground, chest nice and straight with a straight leg. If this is uncomfortable, painful, just take the leg out to the side. We can create that same stretch, but take away the tension. So from here, we're going to lift our chest proud. Inhale, extend the arms overhead. As I breathe out, we tip from the hips and fold forwards. So forehead to knee, elbows to the floor, nice relaxed hands. And focus on breathing in and out. Once I've had 3 to 4 breaths, I might think about progressing. So as I breathe out, I'm going to press down with my chest, my head and my elbows to potentially get lower into a deeper stretch. And again, just hold. Nice controlled breaths. Where I want to feel the stretch is from the back of the knee down into the glutes, potentially across the lower back, a little bit of tension. If the stretch is very tight, we might feel it across the top of the shoulders or the lats. So we keep breathing out and sinking into our stretch. We're going to hold for another 10 seconds still. And every 3 or 4 breaths, just think, can I sink a little lower? Can I sink a little deeper? So already myself, my elbows are now comfortably tapping the floor, and the forehead is almost touching the knee. And that's all we're looking for, that hold and that stretch and that press down. As all our muscles start to relax and loosen, the tension goes away. Lovely work, team. Again, take your time, have a few seconds in between and swap legs. And we start to get into these bigger stretches. We might start to hold for longer, so you might start a stopwatch up for 2 minutes, for 3 minutes. The longer you can hold, the more benefit you're going to get from these stretches. So this time our left leg's going straight, our right foot's tucking in. Again, if it's uncomfortable in the hip or the knee, Extend the leg nice and wide. In breath overhead. Exhale to tip through the pelvis and fold. So remember, this is the colder side, so you're not going to get to the same point. Potentially it's a tighter side anyway, so you might start a lot higher up. It's just patience to breathe through the motion we're looking for now and just gradually sink into the motion. Every out breath, our muscles are going to relax, our body's going to relax. Every in breath, the body's going to tighten. So focus on those out breaths to relax and sink into our stretch. We can see where we get to. So I know my left side is much more looser, so I can always get a little bit deeper into the stretch quicker. And the more you stretch, the more you do these exercises, the more you get to know which side's better, which side's worse. Just like on the weight floor, we do any single arm stuff, you know which arm's going to struggle a bit more, which you have to focus a little bit harder on to get the weight above the head, or to press or to row. So we're going to have another 10 seconds still. Again, that stretch coming through the back of the legs. So breathe and relax. Excellent work. So we're going to work down now into our glutes, our spine itself. So we're going to edge our way down our mat. Laying down onto our back, watching your head when you do come down, nice straight legs. So I'm going to start on my right hand side, so my right knee is going to come to the chest, hands wrapping at the top of the knee and pulling nice and tight. This pulling motion is going to stretch my glutes as I start to breathe in and out, relaxing my head and my neck. Again, if you've got your pillow, potentially placing it under the neck for comfort. While we're holding the stretch, I want to take the ankle and roll in a clockwise circle. So again, I'm going to help that mobility of our ankle as we roll the big toe, four corners of a box. If we can get nice, loose, mobile ankles, running, rowing becomes so much easier. Lunges, we can get lower and deeper. Those ankles have got better range of motion. Anti-clockwise for these next 15 seconds. Make those circles slow, controlled, touching four corners of a box. Fantastic work, team. So we're going to work our way into our spinal twist. So help our lats, our lower back to loosen off, and our glutes again. My left hand comes to the outside of the right leg. Right arm comes wide. As I breathe out, the knee rolls across the body. Head looks down the right hand. Shoulders staying flat on the ground. My spare hands is going to press across the knee. So I create this rotation. The stretch is going to be from my lats, my obliques, my glutes, the spine itself coming down to the side of the leg into the knee. And again, we're looking to breathe out and just sink as low as we feel comfortable into this stretch. Nice, slow, controlled breaths. So you've still got over 15 seconds. If you are quite flexible, try and keep the foot off the ground, focusing on the knee coming down. That way you're going to keep the stretch as you go through. It's quite an uncomfortable position. You might come out of the stretch completely, roll just halfway in and hold through there. You can always support the leg and the knee if it's too much of a strain. And you're still going to create that stretch through the body. But that support's going to take a lot of the tension and pressure off. As we relax out of the stretch, just take a few seconds, move the hips, move the back, readjust the shoulders, and I'm going to do the same 2 stretches on the other side. So again, my legs are going to go straight. This time my left knee comes in, hands across the knee, pulling tight to create the stretch in the glutes. We start to roll that ankle and that foot, thinking about the big toe touching 4 corners of a box. Rotating around that ankle mobility, but keeping the pressure in the knees. We're still stretching our glutes and our hips at the same time. Remember, always find your range in the pull. As we go anti-clockwise, rotate the opposite way through the ankle. Find your ranges. And every day will be a different range for different tightness. One day you're going to feel super loose. Another day you might feel extremely tight. And you just got to find the range of minor discomfort and hold there. So we come to that stop. This time the right hand comes across to the outside the knee. Left arm extends. As I breathe out, the knee rolls across the body. My eyesight looking down my left arm and breathing out. Again, it's that opposite side. So the range is going to be different. How it feels is going to be different as we come out. So then come back in. So I tend to get a bit of tension through my hip and my glutes. So it's always good for me to come in and out the stretch. Hold for 3 or 4 breaths. To then release myself back out. And I found that more comfortable. But again, you might just hold all the way through if that feels best for you. Beautiful team. So that is our static stretching flow. It's a fantastic work. Grab a sip of water if you need it. So team, there's 2 short little flows that you can do consistently to really help our mobility and also help prep ourselves for our training. So that little recap for us. That first flow is all about dynamic stretching, so making everything move through good range, prepping our muscles ready to train. So I always recommend cherry pick 2 or 3 of them, do the whole flow before you get to the studio, in the foyer, whatever's going to work for you, but just get yourself a bit more looser and ready, especially if you have tight backs, tight shoulders. You can really start to help yourself improve bigger in our classes and get towards those PBs when you want them and get towards your goal. Our second flow is all about that static stretching. So this is our recovery. This is helping us rejuvenate our bodies, ready to train again the next day. If we don't get time at the studio to get all that stretching done, find a little space at home, spend 5-10 minutes just going through those stretches. Again, you might just cherry pick 2 or 3, what I've just gone through, to each one for 3 minutes. And that'll be perfect. Really targeting the parts the tightest. Might be our glutes, might be our chest, might be our ankles, whatever works best for you on that side. But team, fantastic work on making your way through 6 weeks of the challenge and powering to those last 2 weeks. I hope you've enjoyed all the other videos from all the other coaches. Thank you for popping into my house today and going through this little stretch workshop. Any feedback, any questions, do give me a shout. Happy to answer. If you have any more queries about your stretching, find your coach at your studio and they'll be happy to help you in those gaps. So team, thank you. Have an amazing weekend. I look forward to seeing you in Nottingham one day in one of my classes.